Hello, class. I am working today from a different setup, so I'm gonna wait until a couple of you guys get on here and log in. Our little guy looks interesting, you know, not the greatest, but looks cool, interesting. Um, what's up, Angel? I saw your first draft of your Eve bot, and it looks really cool. Good job on that. Yes, I did. How did you like animating that? Was it fun? Um, so anyways, while you answer that question, I'll let you guys know that my wife and I recently just got a puppy. Yeah, let me go over that and we'll go over that after our lesson today. Does that sound good, Angel? Um, but my wife and I got a 6-month-old rescue puppy, and she is currently being potty trained. Oh, that's great. I'm happy that it was fun and easy once you like figured out how to do it. It is easy like using that motion capture stuff, but we'll talk more about that today. But because the puppy is potty training right now and we have the cats, I have the house separated off and the puppy in the living room, and I'm working from my living room currently on my laptop. So um that's why my setup looks a little bit different today, and I don't have my cam set up and stuff like that. So, we're going to be going over, though, how to animate the hoverbot that we created in on Tuesday's class. And, I might have to take a break if the dog has to go to the bathroom, but right now she is in a kennel, and I will just kind of keep you guys updated. But I'll be on my own right now, and so it's kind of a lot of work to try and keep her separated from the cats because they're not exactly getting along at the moment. That will take some time. So if I'm by myself, I might have to be using this setup until I can get a little bit of help in here with the dog or we get her potty trained. So that will just kind of an update for you guys. Yeah, so I see that you're going to go to the airport soon. So let's go over and go through that then. And we can, I will give you some feedback that you can make changes for. I do want to mention to you guys that we are starting back our participation grades. So you're definitely going to want to go through and answer this one. It's due Monday, April 8th, by midnight. So make sure you guys are jumping back onto these participation questions. I know we haven't had any in the past couple weeks, but we are getting back to that. Let me go to the module for the EveBot, and I will download your submission. All right. Okay. Wow, that's a great first start on that, Angel. I think that I like how you have her coming in and hovering, not only there, but then you also have her hovering a little bit more, which gives us, more of an ability to see kind of what she's doing. I like that the target, like it looks like she's seeing the target tag and it moves off. It looks like you animate the target tag right here. What I'd like to see is maybe where, so she's going to come in here, she flies. I like the bend to her that you have, like the rotation that you have. The speed is really nice. Maybe right here the tag starts to move. So the tag looks like, the target tag looks like it's up here in the upper left corner of your video. Maybe what happens is while she's hovering, that target tag animates to the other side and her head will follow that target tag. And then you will, once that comes over here, right, to the opposite side of the world, wherever she's at, then she flies off while looking at it because it looks like the target tag moves right around here. It's starting to animate the other way, and we don't get a real chance to see her head rotation following that. So I think that would be really cool to do. Other than that, I think the Eve bot looks really cool. I like the eyes that you put on her. As far as design wise go, I would make the so the lights are really, really bright. They're super hot, right? So we're getting these blown out pixels in this area where it almost looks like there's a spotlight on it and it's reflecting here off of here. So I would use a more matte material for this, or drop down the reflectiveness of the material in on your backdrop right now, because it's just these lights are just really intense. And then I would also drop the intensity of the lights down. But the cool thing about this is that it's actually the entire scene is lit up, because sometimes I have the problem where students don't have enough lighting in their scene. Right now there is enough, but the intensity is just a little bit too much. So drop the intensity. Maybe you bring the lights up higher and angle them down so they're not directly at like this perpendicular angle to the backdrop right now, because it looks like they're shining directly at the backdrop. I'm not sure if that's what's happening, but that's what I would do here in order to make this less like intense in the back. And then this looks like it's an HDR, like you put an HDR on your environment, which is fine. That's not a problem. But once you drop the reflectiveness of the backdrop material, this stuff won't be as noticeable, because right now, you know, you kind of look back and forth between your hoverbot Eve and the backdrop highlights when I'm watching it, and I'd like to just focus on Eve. So if we could bring the, you know, we don't want the background to be the focus of our video, so I would just drop that down. But other than that, it looks really nice. Did this part right here, it kind of looks like a hard edge, and I'm not sure if that is because of the lighting, but you might just have to drop your backdrop into a subdivision surface. If you didn't use the backdrop that's provided here inside of Cinema 4D automatically. If you did that, you can just like curve the joining angle a little bit more so it's a smoother curve. But I really think it's more about your lighting here and less about the shape of the backdrop. So once you just update those, do a render preview real quick just to see what it looks like, and you'll be good to go. But that's a really solid first start. The animation looks really cool. She's in frame the entire time when she's hovering, which is great because some students will bring her up above here, and that can be kind of an issue, but it looks really good overall. Hey, Jose, what's up? Do you have any questions about the feedback that I just gave you, Angel? I'm going to let you answer that. I'm going to pull my notes up real quick off to the side for today. Um, Oh, nice. This looks good. Yeah, yeah, no, not a problem. And don't call it, it's not an error. It's just it's just learning how to do that. Yeah, but yeah, travel safe right now and have fun seeing your brother. And we'll see you in class when you come back. I just dropped my mic down here a little bit. It's a little loud. But yeah, safe travels. All right, so let's jump into this right now. So last class we created our hoverbot here. You can follow along, like I said, with the class. Let me go back into here. Um, if you want to make more of an Eve bot like this, you guys can go in and definitely follow the modeling process right here if you want to. But overall, the animation process is going to be the same, right? So whether your bot looks like this or whether your hover bot looks more like this or a little bit different, either way, it's okay. And, you know, you can choose to watch this one or do the one that I did in class last Tuesday, and the animation process will be the same. Like I said, there's an alternative way to make a face for your bot in this in the animation, I think, or the modeling process. When I created my Eve bot, I worked in Adobe Illustrator to create an image and then brought that into a material and place that material on Eve. There is an issue when it comes to like the head will reflect the material, like the material will reflect the image on the other side too, and so you have to be kind of more particular about your camera angles. So we're going to do it a little bit differently, more of like the we're going to do it just with like some complete materials or separate materials in this one. And I think I'm going to add real quick, um, let's bring in an oil tank here. In this oil tank, I am going to, let's go into our orthogonal view here. I'm going to bring this upwards, hit E on my keyboard. That looks pretty cool. I'm just going to make this real skinny. Oh, wow. So that is what that does. I'm going to hit T or let's bring this back down here so I can see. There we go. That's what I want. And then we're going to rotate this 90 degrees. So -90. Great. And I'm going to bring this down, over and down. Let's frame default. Looks like my, let's go back here. View, frame default. That looks kind of neat. I think my bot is kind of curved here. So let's take the hoverbot body and we're going to go into the coordinates, or the body right here. And I want it to be like straight on, right here. I think it's because of the transform properties when I froze them. Let's unfreeze all of this. That's why. So the body, let's put this back at 0. We have to zero out all of the transformations here. 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now let's freeze this right here so we can freeze all, so that if we need to come back to this, we can. I'm going to grab the oil tank thing that I created here. I'm going to move it over and forward until I can kind of see it, and bring this down because I want to scale this in. Let's see here. Can I do that? Let me grab the oil tank, go to the object, change the radius down, bring this down a little bit, and I'm just going to add this to my image here. So there's kind of like this protruding object. That's cool. Yeah, I think that'll look better when it comes to adding a material. And then what I want to do is I want to bring this into the hierarchy here, right? So into the head. Let's drop that in. And I'm going to bring that all the way down. Let's see, this is the eyeball. This is the first ring, or this ring around the eyeball, the second ring, and like this oil tank thing. So I think that looks pretty cool. Let's add some materials real quick to our bot. I am just going to do something fairly simple. Actually, before we add some materials, let's do our let's do the backdrop and stuff. Let's set up our scene here. Cool. I just have to check on and off since I'm working using my laptop right now. I'm going to have to check on and off with the chat. So if I don't answer you guys right away, I will eventually look into the chat and see that. So let's go ahead and add a studio backdrop real quick. And we're going to bring this down. Obviously, it needs to be much larger. Let's put in here 10,000. Cool. Depth. Let's do the same. We're just going to go big, or, oh, that's way too big. Let's do 2,000. That will work for now. Extension. 1,000. The height, 2,000. I think this will only have to be like 2,000 too as well. No, this will have to be higher, much more, much higher here. Okay. Cool. And then I'm going to round off. Obviously, I need this much more rounded than it is. So I'm going to do this. I am going to change my display from the shading with lines to just the regular shading. I think that looks okay. I think I'm going to extend it a little bit further just in case my camera, when I bring my camera in. I think actually this is a really good angle to add a camera to right now. Normally I would add the camera later, but let's go ahead and bring that camera in now, and since I like the angle that I'm at, I'll just lock that camera and put a protection tag on it. So I'm going to hit Shift-C, and I'm going to just type in, we're just going to add a regular camera, a standard camera. It doesn't have to be a redshift camera. In fact, I think I can just click this here and standard camera. I don't think I used a target camera last time. Let me check that. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's look through the camera right now, and we're going to change the focal length of this camera from a 36 or 35 millimeter lens, or I'm sorry, it says 36 here, but we're going to change that to a 50 millimeter lens, which is more like, or I'm sorry, 55 focal length, which is more like a human eye, right? This is the same as a human eye, what you see in real life, and so I think that's a good one for this project in particular. I'm just going to pull out of my scene a little bit there, and I adjust the framing as far as that goes. Let's add some lighting into here. So I'm probably going to add a couple lights. I'm going to, first, before I do that, let's add a protection tag. Under rigging tags, right click and add that protection tag there. So we have our camera ready to go. Notice when I looked in the camera and then out of the camera, you can see that focal length information actually looking different, right? So it changes the way we see the sensor size. I think that, do I have to change that? 35 millimeter. is equivalent to the focal length. So let's do that. Change the sensor size to 35. Does it need to be 36 there? Yeah, okay. So keep it, just change it to the 35 millimeter photo, movie. No, we'll just go to the photo one. That'll be fine. Perfect. Save that. And let's not look through our camera. Let's pull out of our scene a little bit here so we can see. In fact, I'm going to go into my orthogonal views so I can see all of my views differently here, and then I can just kind of pull out a little bit and adjust my camera as needed. I think that the backdrop could be moved down a little bit because when I look into my, when I look here in my full front view, it's a little close to my Evebot, so I'm going to just drop it down. Because remember, she's hovering above the ground, right? So I don't want her to be touching the ground or too close to it. I want her to look like she's hovering. So I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. If I look back into my perspective view, it still looks fine. And even if I jump in my camera view, I'm not seeing the cutoff of the world at the bottom of my edges or the top edges of my screen. That's what I'm looking for when I jump into that view. So I'm going to save that real quick. And we're going to go into the standard lighting, and let's go ahead and add a target light. And I'm going to jump into my orthogonal views so I can move that into an appropriate spot. Obviously right now it's too, I need to extend the range right here of like where I see the light, and then I also need to move this back a little bit. So I'm going to actually put it, whoop, I can bring that forward to change like the focal distance of my actual light here. And then I want to bring this light back. Notice that it's going to light up my entire area, right? Which is great. That's perfect. In fact, I'm going to jump back into my camera view here so I can make sure that my lighting looks good. And I'm going to pull back a little bit more here, and then I'm going to duplicate this light. The target I want to be probably like right there where auto defaulted to wasn't bad. Even off to the side a little bit here is fine. And then what I'll do is I'll duplicate this light again. So you can just, if you click up in your objects panel right up here, you can select the light and hit Control C, Control V, or you can control and drag the light. That will also work. So I'm just going to kind of move around here and place my light where I want it to be. So one is like my key light, and this one will be maybe my fill light. I'm going to change the names of these. So this one will be key light, or I'm sorry, my fill light. I want this one that I'm working with right now is going to be my fill light. And this one right here, the main one I set up is going to be the key light, right? That's your main light. And the target, since both of them are looking at the target, I'm just going to move it to the center of the actual, like of the center of the backdrop here. Move that forward. Doesn't have to be perfect, just around there a little bit. Looks like I'm lighting this up pretty well. The intensity is a little bit high on these. We were talking about that when we were reviewing Angel's project, and I also need to turn on some shadows here. So let's turn on shadow soft map on this fill light, and then also with the key light, we're going to turn it to shadow soft. And the shadow density, color, transparency, that all looks good. Let's go back into general. And I'm going to drop, selecting my key light, I'm going to drop the intensity down. Probably 70. I'd probably actually bring this up a little bit more to like 90 because that's my main light. And then my fill light, I'm going to drop down to maybe 60. Right, so that's not bad here. The other thing that I want to do is I'm actually going to tint my, let's go for green this time, my fill light here. So I get a cool looking kind of tinted light. And I'm just going to do a very light tint. Obviously this is look how light this color is that I've chosen, and then how intense that is. If I hit Control R to do a render preview, you can really see that it colors in like these shadows here on the object, and there's like this ambient occlusion that's happening down here where you can see just a little bit of color there. And then I'm actually going to add another light. I think I'm going to add another fill light on the other side with the opposite color. So let me go out of here, and I'm just going to take this fill light here and I'm going to duplicate it. And it's really cool when you're looking at these lights, because now with a recent update, the actual colors of the outside guides, right, changes to whatever color your light is. So you can automatically be like, hey, this is my green light, this is my white light, this one over here is going to be the opposite one, right? So really neat there. I'm going to actually control and drag this one and push this over a little bit more. It's looking at the target, so it's going to want to go back. I'm going to drag it in here, move it more over to the side, drag it in again, move it over here. Grab that. Bring that in a little bit here. Rename this fill light. Maybe I would do this purple. It also changes your actual icon color up here too. Put an underscore there. Fill light underscore green. Maybe this one. Yeah, I think the purple will be cool. Let's see what that looks like. Neat. Cool. Maybe I will go more into like this bluish aqua color a little bit more. I think that'll look cool. And then this one, I might do a little bit darker there, and maybe just bump the intensity up by 5%. In fact, let's go to 70% on this one. And I'm just test it hitting Control R. That looks cool. So there's not like a ton of color affecting this, but just a little bit, and it makes it look really interesting and neat. I'm going to save that right now. Let's see if there's any questions. No questions so far. Feel free to ask away with the questions if you want to. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to talk about, let's add some materials now that we have this done. So I'm going to go to my material editor here, and I'm going to type in like a plastic look. I kind of want my bot to be, I'm going to go to materials here, and then I'm going to type in standard. And I definitely don't want the backdrop to be, I want it to be a matte color. In fact, this matte white will do well. I'm going to just maybe color it a little bit. Maybe we go with like that aqua color a little bit more. There we go. I think that'll look cool. Let's do a quick render preview. Yeah, nice. This line here is driving me nuts. Let's try and drop this in a subdivision surface, see if that works to make the backdrop. Have a little less. It's such a hard line there. I don't know why that is occurring. Maybe if I drop the rounding down. That's just shortening it. Maybe it has to do, let's try my lighting, right? Because we were literally talking about this with Angel's work. Let's delete that subdivision surface. Let's bring this down here. I'm going to close my material editor real quick, or material manager, and let's look at these lights real quick. close this. Right here, this right side. Let's pull out of here. The lights are pretty. Let's drag this up. Drag this one up so they're pointing more down. Do the same with our key light. Let's check this out right now. That actually makes it kind of crazier. This might be something I might have to look into. Let's not look in our camera. I want to see the side of the backdrop. Looks fine. Maybe because the depth is so much. I'll look into this issue and how we can. I mean, another way to solve this, right, is just to create like instead of a backdrop, what we can do is to create a plane and push this plane down here, right? So if we look at where the plane is, that looks great. And then let's just make this plane really big. And let's do 10,000 by 10,000. And if we come over here and we look in our camera view, so we obviously need to go back much further that way. 15,000, I think that was. Even further. There we go. Sometimes we have to go to what seems like extremes. Even this side too, so we'll do 15,000 that way, 25,000 back that way. And then we can just rotate. We have to remove our protection tag, and we can just kind of rotate the camera more like this. Maybe we zoom in a little bit. We can rotate a little bit down. And these, this area up here that's grayed out, I think that's the bounds of your view, like where it's going to render off. So let me see. Click on this. Let's extend it just a little bit more in the width. 20,000. There we go. I'm going to save that. That's one way to do it, right? And then what I'm going to do is maybe add an area light off the back. I'm going to throw that material back onto the floor because I still want it there. And then this camera, I'm going to add that protection tag back on. So under rigging tags, it's protection tag, just so it's not going to be a problem. And let me hit. Let's turn on the interactive render region real quick, which will do like a quick preview render, right? So if I do look into here and I bring this up, or I bring this up this way, I want to see what it looks like over this way. You can add an area light if you want to out back here. It's not required. I'm not going to be, you know, if it's really dark over in this area, then yes, you're going to want to add that. But if it's not that bad, this isn't terrible looking. And then it's, you know, I'm not going to tell you to lighten it up. But if, let's shut this interactive render region off. And we're going to save this. Now let's, you know, put this into, select all of these, your lights, your light target, your camera, your plane. In fact, I'm going to group the lights together first. So grab all your lights and your light target and hit Control G. Control G. Shift G. Then you can group them. Alt-G. I feel like that changed. Maybe not. And I'm going to name this lights. And I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to grab the camera lights in the plane. I'm going to hold Alt-G again to group it, and I'm just going to name this studio, right? So they have that in there. Oh, we don't want to be, I moved this around. Let me delete the tag. Let's look back through this. Have to update it. Zoom in, move back here. Let's kind of rotate back this way, zoom out a little bit, move down, zoom out some more. I might have to just extend my backdrop there, but I think this looks, it's a pretty good spot. There we go. That's good right there. Now add that protection tag on. Render rigging tags. Protection tag. There we go. Save that. In fact, now that I have like this all set up, after I add all my materials is when I'm going to probably add I'm probably going to add at that point or do an incremental save. So let's, I did not want to do that. I want to go here. Let's add some more of these materials to our little bot. We're going to go back like this. For the bot itself, this one kind of looks neat because it's like a plastic green, but it's got like this underlying kind of red color to it. And I'm going to bring that onto the body. And in fact, I do not want it on the entire body, but just let's do the head will be the same. Yeah, let me double click into this. Let's update this first before I throw some materials onto like the eye part. The normal map, reflectance. Let's look what this looks like when it's render previewed. Interesting, right? Cool. I like that underlying color. I just want to change the color of my, like the bot thing, so. Yeah, it's got this cool yellow to it. Let's go more into the whitish green. That's neat. And then this color we will change to more of that green color, like that lime. And we'll just kind of bring this over here so it's not as intense. I think that looks neat. Let's render preview that. Cool, my little bot looks interesting. I might do, let's go back in here. Let's do more of like up here white. Let's get over here. And so he'll just have like that little hint of like that underlying green color. Can move this up a little bit more if I want to. It's kind of neat, right? Cool. All right, and then let's do his eyeballs, this plastic black that's like rough. Head, eyeball. So we want to drop it on the eyeball directly. I'm going to do it on all of these here. In fact, I am going to, ooh, let's look at this right now. We can really see that the oil tank thing has to move up a little bit more, out a little bit more. So I'm going to duplicate this material real quick, just Control C, Control V. And I'm going to change one of them from to like a lighter gray color. I think that's going to look cool. And then I think the actual eyeball is going to be this black. Let's do that. The rim around the eye. I want also to have the black. Let's delete that. Let's control drag there. And then also this one here. So the only one I want to be different is like that oil tank background one. And I'm going to actually make it a little bit darker. There we go. Interesting. Do I like this or no? I think what I want to do here is I'm going to go more blue. Less green, more blue. I think that'll look cool. There we go. Let's save that. The face. What do I want to do? Yeah, this looks cool. I think I need to bring that oil tank object out a little bit further. So let me zoom in here on my little guy. Grab this oil tank object and push that out just a little bit. Yeah, maybe bring it down just a hair. It needs to be a little bit bigger. That's not what I want to do. The radius, maybe I'll make it 65. There we go. And then it did hide the one. There we go. I think it needs to just move up a hair. I need to make it a little bit wider as far as like this direction goes. That was the squaring off of it. This one is going to be the thickness. Let's push that out, and then let's push this one. Nope, wrong one. This one out a little bit more. There we go. Neat. Okay. Cool. No questions here. All right. A little robot guy. Let's see if we can, not that view, go back to here. I want to take the head, and maybe I can grab these parts, holding down Shift. In fact, let's go into our front view here and do it this way. Move this down, holding Shift. Oh, I don't want to move it. I just want to grab all these. There we go. Here. And I want to add a new, let's undo that. Let's go back to here. I'm going to add a different material to these. So maybe I duplicate this material and we change the color of this one to like a deep blue, right? I think that would be cool. Ooh, neat. And this color will be really cool if it's like closer to a black, almost like a really deep blue. And this one, I think we can push it a little bit further there. Let's go more into this aqua color. There we go. Let's see what this will look like on that section of the face. Almost like a screen, right? Looks kind of neat. Let's do a render preview. Let's go a little bit lighter so it doesn't blend so much with We're going to saturate a little bit more, just go a little lighter there. Oh, wrong. Render preview. Neato. Oh, missed a spot right there. So I need to grab the head again. Need to grab that section and just drop this right here. There we go. Let's see if there's a different material for that. Let's use something else. Maybe standard and physical effects, huh? No. Glossy. Ooh, this kind of looks neat. Do we want to use that? Possibly. Jewelry. Some kind of metal. I could do this. Let's drag this in here. Replace it there. And there. Let's zoom in and see what this looks like. Yeah, that looks cool. Into that. Deal. That's what we're doing. Yeah. Heck yeah. Okay, cool. I think that looks great. I'm going to delete this greenish plastic color. Cool. Yeah. Now I'm going to incrementally save. So save incremental. Now we're going to, if you look up here, we're now in hoverbot 0002. If I go to my file where it's at, I also have a new file created there. So that'll be great now that I have all my materials. So started off, no materials, added this on. Now we have some materials. And let's go pull this back here. We want to create, well, let me start from the beginning. Talking about, let's talk about the motion capture option of this. So we're going to use something inside of Cinema 4D called Cappucino. And Cappucino essentially mimics motion capture, right? But with your mouse. So instead of having all those dots like I was mentioning on Tuesday's class, you guys might think of motion capture for video games or films where the actor is wearing a suit and they're in a large room where there's a bunch of different cameras set up, and those cameras have a lot of different points to reference on the subject. So like the actor will have a bunch of dots on their outfit, and the cameras essentially caption the motion, or they capture the motion of those objects within that space, right? Well, we're going to do something kind of like that, but it's going to be using our mouse instead. And so if I were to take, let's say, let's just kind of show you guys here with like a sphere or something. I'm just going to open a different project right here. Oops, let's go into this. Let's close the material editor and create a sphere. And I'm going to turn on Cappucino. So there's a couple different ways that you can find this. The first way I think is under Animate. Is it under here? Playmo? No. Where is it under? I could have sworn it was under here. So it might be under there, motion graphics. Whatever. So I can't find it up here, but you can find it in two different ways. You can hit Shift C and spell Cappuccino, which they actually spell wrong. I don't know if they ever fix that. But the other place that you can grab it is down here in your toolbar. There's this little icon that looks like a mouse. and it's called the Cappucino tool. And when you click on that, it's going to bring up this little box. I like to dock this little box here, just temporarily, you know, while I'm working inside of, well, I'm using this, right? And there's several options when you look at this right here. So you can change. What you want to do is you want to hit start real time, and then you start to move your object, right? And then you see all these little dots along a motion path that just shows up. Well, these little dots are actually keyframes. If I bring up my dope sheet here, you can see all of a sudden now we have like some keyframes happening, and it is mimicking all that motion that I just made with my mouse, right? And if we go into the F curve mode, and I just bring this up a little bit here, and I click on the sphere, come on, you're going to show me where it is. If I hit H here, you can actually see that motion in a curve here. Now, all these little dots, all these little orange markers and stuff are actually keyframes that have been added onto this, that have been recorded within this animation, right? And we're going to do something very similar with this, but we don't need all of these different changes here. We really are only going to use it with position. We're not going to use it with scale or rotation. And so there's, you know, some options to shut that off here. And if you look inside of your Cappucino panel, right, there's the action. So you always hit start real time, and then the animation doesn't start until you click and you move, right? It's not, I didn't hit start real time, so it didn't actually happen. But you can also stop if you want to, but usually just start real time, and then when you let go of your mouse click, then it will just stop your keyframes. The other thing that you have down here is when, okay? So here is your range of when that animation occurs. This is your project, so your entire project length, which ours is, if I hit Shift D here, or I'm sorry, Control D, and we look, our project, it defaulted. Oh, well, this one's a new project, right? So it's 30 frames per second and 90 frames, right? So the entire project is 90 frames long, and it will tell you right here too. Start is at 0 frames, end is at 90 frames. You can also start at the current time. You can rewind time if you want to. You can change this project to only the preview, which is the preview is right down here, right? So if I changed my preview from 6 frames to 56 frames, that's my preview time. And your project time is indicated from here, 0 frames to here, 90 frames. So you can always do that in little sections if you want to. Your render, you can pick user, which is manual, so you can pick specific frames if you want to. I always do project. That works for me. And then it asks you what you want to be animating, and I just want to be animating the position of this, right? So I can essentially just mimic a bounce with this, and all I have to do is hit start real time, and I click and I bounce, 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 and I go to play this back, right? Bounce, 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 and it's the same exact timing as what I used with my mouse. What is the power of this, right? Because it doesn't look good. In fact, if you look at it, it's really clunky. When you look at the F curve, if I bring this up and I hit H, come on, in my F curve mode, right there, you know, it doesn't look good, right? The power of this is to be able to take like some kind of complex motion, and you can mimic it with your mouse, and then you can come in here and you can actually clean up these curves, right? And so that's what we're going to do here with our hoverbot. We're going to use Cappucino, and we're going to create like an animation, and then we're going to come into the F curve and we're going to really clean it up here. And then we're going to add some manual animations to go with it, right? And so that's what we're going to be using this kind of motion capture on our robot. Now, before we do that, we need to determine, right, because we're not going to be using the motion capture to capture any rotation on this. It's just going to be our X and our Y position. And then we're going to manually add in our Z position. And we want to save some time not having to animate the head manually, right? So what we can do is we're going to create a target for the head to actually look at. And how we do that is I am going to, we're going to set that up first before we start animating the EveBot. And I'm going to create a null object, and I'm going to name this head target. And I'm going to line this null up to the center of the robot. Like I want my robot to be like dead center of the face while I'm just setting it up. And then I am actually going to move this outwards, right? So I want this to be kind of further away, almost like I'm giving my robot, my hoverbot, a point in space to look at. And I'm going to move that kind of further away from my hoverbot. Now I'm going to actually bring that in a little bit more. No, I think that's okay right there. That's perfect right there. Now, it's kind of hard to see this little guy in space right here, especially because I have a bunch of stuff going on and it's this tiny little dot. But I can adjust that. First of all, I'm going to bring this cappuccino thing. I'm going to probably try and drop that. Can I drop that down into here? Grab and can I bring it to the bottom? I think I can. There we go. That's a little bit easier. Under my attributes panel, if I select my head target, I'm going to change this from a dot to, I don't know, like the hexagon is fine. And that just changes this, and I can change the size of this if I want to see it a little bit more here. And that doesn't actually change, this doesn't show up in my render. It just is for me to see visually while I'm working. It's like a reference point there. And I just want to make sure that it's still in the center of my hoverbot's head. I'm going to save real quick and let's see if anyone has any questions. Looks like we're good here. Second. I'm going to go to the object panel. All right, so what I want to do next is I actually want to link the head to this null, right? So that I can animate this head target, this null, whenever I want to. I can animate this, and the head will follow. So I have to attach that in some sort of way. And so I'm going to drop down here, and I'm going to select the head, and I'm going to hit Shift-C, and I'm going to type in, I hit Control-C. Let me grab that head again. Just want to make sure that this is centered. Cool. Because I hit something. My keyboard's a little bit different right now. So grab that head object and hit Shift-C. And we're going to type in, let me move this over here so you guys can see better, target. And we want to grab the target rigging, not the MoGraph target, but the rigging target. I'm going to double click on that there. And then I want to drag the look target null to the target object tag right here. So you have to make sure that you're selected on the actual tag next to the head. And then I'm just going to grab this target null and I'm going to drag that into the target object here. And I think what's going on is it rotated my head. So I'm just going to take the head and why did it want to do that? Let's rotate the head around. Not going to let me do it. Okay, never mind. Is this behind the body? The target tag? Let's go back here. Our top view. Where's my head target? Oh, it's back here. For some reason, it's flipped for me. So let's figure that out. Let's delete this real quick. And I'm going to check the head real quick and make sure it doesn't have any rotations. There we go. Zero everything out. Save that. Let's create a new null. Let's bring that down here. I'm gonna rename this again, head target. I'm gonna select this, move it up, move it back. Maybe it's because I'm not in my object mode. Let's go into object mode right here. Before I was in face selecting mode, so I want to grab this here, make sure that it's in object mode. Maybe that's the issue. Let's see here. In the very center of the head, let's move this forward. Maybe right there. Let's change the type of this under object. We'll do the hexagon. We'll make it bigger so we can see it. Z-axis, camera orientation. I just put it in the Z-axis here. Now let's try and drag that back down into this target tag and see if it does the same thing. It does. And so maybe that is because the orientation of this. No. Let's go back. Why are you not letting me do that? Did it flip me around in my view? Let's reset the camera. Frame default. Okay, yeah, no. Whip my head around. 0, 0. The body. Let me check something real quick. I think my orientation of my head needs to be different. So let's try that. Let's grab the head. We're going to go into the anchor point tool right here, the axis tool. I'm going to hit R for rotate, and I'm actually going to rotate that 180 degrees. Let's go back to E. There we go. Let's shut that off. Let's try this again. Right? Where's that target at? Object dot. Let's do the hexagon. Z large. Let's see if that will do anything. So I'm going to select that target tag, drag this here. There we go. That works. Okay, so the orientation of my head was off. So what I had to do was I had to just come into here, enable the anchor point tool or axis, right? Enable the axis. Rotate the anchor point of the head so that the Z-axis pointing forward. And then I had to bring the, go out of my anchor point or axis mode, right? Select the target tag under the head and then bring that in there. If I wouldn't have done that, it would have been backwards, and which could cause some issues for you guys later on. But now when I move this, if I grab this head target here, let me zoom out. I've got this target here and I start moving this around. What's really cool is the head follows. So you get a lot of free animation here with that, which is going to save a lot of time and energy when it comes to animating the head and rotation and the body of everything. Like, you don't have to actually animate the rotation. What we'll animate is the target tag moving. So we'll start with it in one position and then we'll animate it into another position, right? So let's go back into let's go into our camera mode first. Let's go to Studio, camera mode here. And let's kind of set up where we want the target tag to start. So maybe the target tag, maybe our little person comes in and the target's like right here. And then it's going to move off screen over this way. So, right, let's maybe put it right there for now. I'm going to jump out of here and kind of move into our front view and zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to grab the body or the hoverbot, the overarching null, right, which is the hoverbot right here. And that's what we're going to use the cappuccino on. I'm going to unfurl at my studio so I don't see it. In fact, I'm going to shut it off so I can't see anything. Did not want to rotate that. Let's shut this off just for now. Rotate this back. So it is, come on now, get back to where I want you to be. There we go. Zoom in a little bit here. And I want to grab the hoverbot body, the whole entire thing. And if I start to move this around, you can see the head's kind of following that. I'm going to go back. Do we want to start in that view? Let's kind of decide. I think now that we have her all set up before we start animating, let's save incrementally again. All right. All right, let's try this motion out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my playhead and bring it to the very beginning. I want to check that it's project time here, and we're going to start Eve off screen. So let's go back into this view, and I'm actually going to turn this back on because I want to see in the camera real quick. Let's move our little hoverbot, grabbing the body and moving that kind of off screen right here. That's good. And we'll go back into this front view here. And let's start animating using this. So I'm going to hit start real time. And then I'm going to grab my Eve bot and I'm going to bring her in. I'm going to hover her around a little bit. And then she's going to go off screen. Okay. I'll let go of that when I'm done. Now let's jump into our perspective view. Let's see what this looks like because I might have to redo it. So we're viewing through the camera, right, which is important right now. Okay, I think I'm gonna redo it real quick. That was a test run. That's not bad. I think I'm gonna keep this more centered. The motion more centered right here, like this hovering motion, and then zoom her off there. So I'm gonna grab the body again. I'm gonna select all these keyframes. Let's go ahead and make this bigger here. I'm going to view all of this, grab all of these keyframes, and just like delete them. H, oops, not do that here. H, cool. Let's drag these ones, delete. H. All right, we still got tons more. Again, here, if I just click, 1 and 2 and click and drag, I can get out of this view or like see all of these. There we go. grab these, delete them. All the way back to the beginning, which I'm going to do down here. And we're going to start over again with this. So let's bring this one, drop this down a little bit here. Come on, there we go. Our Eve bot is off screen there. We're looking through the camera here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. I'm going to click that start real time. I'm going to go. Let's play that. See what that looks like from this view here. Head goes off screen. So I went too high. And this is good. You know, you guys are going to probably go into this issue too. Let me just grab all these, delete them. Go to the beginning. Grab all these, delete them. Hold 2. Delete that. Go all the way to the beginning with my playhead. Zoom out a little bit. I'm going to practice this a little bit more with my, I think if I grab the hoverbot and hit Alt-0 again, it's just going to set her up. Come on, Alt-0, no, it doesn't do the freeze frame on it. Oh, come on now. Bring you down. Let me actually, I'm going to go back to the beginning. I think what I did, let me see. Should start me back off in the center. Cool, with the thing already done, which is great. Bring this here. So let's kind of move this over. Again, we're going to go. Okay. Because I'm looking over here, right? Put this in the center. I'm actually going to grab the subdivision surface and use this as the animator, right? Because this is the main null. And when I hit Alt-0, it should bring me back to the center right there, set up the way I was. Okay, perfect. That works. That's what I wanted. Again, Alt-0. So you need to grab your, if you did the freeze frame thing on the subdivision surface of your hoverbot, that's what you need to be animating first. And then if you did this on the body, that's where you need to grab to animate first, or to animate with, because what I was doing is I was holding the body, so when I hit Alt-0 to go back, it wasn't under the freeze frame. The freeze frame was done under the actual subdivision surface of the entire hoverbot, so that's the reason that it worked the second time, is when I use the actual subdivision surface or grab the main part of the hierarchy, right? So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. Let's start real time. We're going to grab, we're going to hover, and zoom off. It's a little bit hard with the mouse that I have, but I think this will work. Let's play this. All right, not bad. So I'm going to go in here. Let's do this. And let's hit H on here so we can see, well, let's go in like this. All these keyframes. There's a lot of keyframes here, right? Tons of keyframes. I'm going to grab this hoverbot here. I'm going to go in the F-curve mode. And you can see there's a bunch of these hoverbots. Dang, I hit, gosh dang it, I didn't want to do the Let's delete the scales and the rotations. We don't need those. We don't even need the Z position because we didn't use it. We just need the X and the Y position, right? So there's a way to simplify this where we can kind of drop down the amount of keyframes that are here because there's way too many for us to go and just start deleting things. I mean, you could go in here and select them like this. The general rule, right, is to leave the peaks and the valleys alone. Leave the keyframes at the top of the peaks and the valleys down here, and don't delete them. And you don't want to delete all of these, right? So we need to select, let's select all the keyframes real quick. Go here, shift, grab these ones down here, or we will click off and just kind of, come on. We're going to get you all. There we go. And if you go under functions here, so there's like a toolbar up at the top, and under functions, you can click on that, and there's a simplify button right here, and I'm going to click that simplify button, and we can change the values here in order to change how many keyframes that we have right here. And so I think that I'm going to hit 1. Let's try it again. Simplify. Let's try something like 5. I mean, I got rid of a bunch of them, but we can get rid of more, right? So I'm going to probably take these ones out. Let's take some of these ones out. So it's going to look like this. She's going to come in here. Do that. Let's take some of these out. Let's grab these again. Maybe if we simplify the separate, everything separately. Functions, simplify. Let's try it to 1. Time, 80 frames. Okay. Functions. Can I simplify more? 10. Okay, so that took more out. Let's remove some of these. Delete here. Remove some of these ones here. Delete these. We go through, maybe delete some of these ones. Maybe some of these ones right here. Probably these ones. And it's starting to look more chunky. Right? It's okay. Delete these. Maybe I delete this one. And this one. And maybe we bring this one over here. And oops, don't mean to right click. Grab these, delete these. Maybe delete or bring this one up like this. You know, we still want to have some variation in everything, but just don't need as many keyframes as we had before. I'm going to grab all of these, and including this one. Come on, grab it. And let's see. Let's do easy ease. Do we want to do that? Yeah. Soft easing spline type. Let's just click the easy ease here. Let's see what happens with these. Why isn't it doing that for the rest of them? There we go. Let's grab all of these now and do that. So they all are easy eased. Okay. So I'm going to come in here and start to smooth this out. Just smoothing out the curves. Maybe this one isn't so rough. This one here, maybe we don't. This one can go like this. Kind of be like a little transition into this one. Maybe this here, we just kind of messing about and making this look like a nice smooth curve overall because we don't want to change all that detail that we did. We just want to tune it, right? That's what we're doing here. That looks cool. So now if I play this, this is just the X. Cool. Kind of moves in slow, right? This is a gradual motion in. This one we can shorten. There we go. Let's save that. And I'm going to do the same to the Y position here. I'm going to go into functions and go into simplify and just hit OK for 10. And I'm just going to come in here and delete some of these chunks right here. Delete this. Delete these. It's okay, Miss Millie. Are you being a good girl? Might have to take a break in a minute to take her to go to the bathroom, but we'll see how far we get with her. Not whimpering. She's crated up right now, which is good for her. Delete that. Let's remove some of these chaos guys there. Cool. And then let me grab all of this and we're going to do easy ease. And we're just going to kind of smooth this out. Again, smooth this. Maybe it kind of smooths itself pretty well. You don't want it everything. We don't have a lot of high motion. Let's watch this. If I play it, this part right here, where is this? This value, if I grab it directly, which one is this? Okay. Let me grab this one. This dip is way too far down, so I can just bring this up, right? We don't want to go below the that looks cool. Great. I'm going to save this. And so now we've got our hoverbot animated. Comes in screen. Right about here is a great spot for the target tag to change. So for maybe my hoverbot to see this tag animating like away, like it's going to look at something and watch that thing go to the other side and then it's going to follow it, right? It's almost like watching a cat with a fly or something. I'm actually going to match up this keyframe. So it kind of like just hovers here for a minute. In fact, I need to go down with that because I don't want it to go so high. Hanging out here. Maybe we delete this keyframe so there's no change happening. So yeah, I think that looks good right there. And right there is, here's where I'm going to animate this head target, right? So I'm actually going to, we can even move it a little bit more this way. And I'm going to go to coordinates and I'm going to keyframe the positions. Oh, in fact, yes, that's where I want to do it. Perfect. I'm going to go to my dope sheet view here. And then I'm going to animate it off screen and maybe up. And so, oh, shoot, hold on. Where was I? 96. I'm going to go right to about here. And then again, moving this. Remember to record it because that's what I did not do. Grab the Head target again. Move it up. Maybe it goes further off screen here. That's about good right there. Cool. And we're going to keyframe all that. And go back into this view. And the head target, I'm going to select this. And let's look at the, right here, we don't need the Z position of the head target. That's fine. The X and the Y looks good because it's like some easing. We're just going to make that a little bit more. Holding down shift, we're just going to make it a little bit more, extreme, I guess, just a little bit more intense of a motion, right? By increasing the, so it's like she's following it, right? Sees it, it's like, oh, what is that? It's going away, I'm going to get it, right? That's cool. That looks great. So we've got the head target animated. We've got most of the body animated. We need to add in the Z position, right? Because right now our hoverbot is just moving, is really just from one side to the other. In fact, I think I might need to move them off screen a little bit further in the beginning. So I'm going to grab the hoverbot body. I'm going to hit H on here so I can see everything. I'm going to move this to right here. And I actually want to grab the hoverbot here and move them further off screen, right? And then I'm just going to update that keyframe there so that when I play it, they're coming in, they're seeing all that stuff. I'm going to hit H again. I'm going to make this a little bit faster of a motion coming in. So, in fact, let's do that. Oh, not like that. Let's delete this one. And I think that this will be move that in here like this. Let's see what that looks like. Down like this. Opposite. Okay, let's do that. Let's do this way. Grabbing this one and going like this. There we go. A little bit quicker into there. We can kind of move this one. Oh, I didn't mean to grab them both. Just this one. And smoothing that out a little bit. Sees that thing. I'm going to go off screen. Cool. So let's add in the Z position of that body so that it goes kind of forwards and backwards right now. Because right now it's only animated in the X and Y value, but we do need to add that third dimension in there so it actually looks like she's, moving around. So I'm actually going to go into my top view and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see, because you can see it's just a straight line. We do need to add some Z positioning into here. And so I'm just going to grab this hoverbot and I'm going to add a Z position coordinate here. And when she comes in, maybe we move that Z position coordinate back first, right? So maybe they start off right there. Remember keyframing that. I'm going to move up here. So right when she comes in, maybe right about there, she's maybe forward a little bit more into view. So I'm going to keyframe that. And let's see what that looks like in the camera. Cool. Okay. And then maybe where she's hovering right here, she goes, let's see, right before she goes backwards. It's right about here. I'm going to move it back again. Let's keyframe that. And move my playhead forward. So maybe right here, she goes forward a little bit more again. Grab that hoverbot, grab the Z position. Make sure you grab your hoverbot here. Move forward. And keyframe that. And then maybe back here, she goes back again. Right around there. Maybe back here. Let's see what that looks like in the view. Cool. That looks good. I'm going to keyframe that. And then right here moves forward because I want her to kind of see the object. Keyframe that. And then kind of watching the target tag move right here and going off screen. I'm going to add in like a forward motion going towards the object, right? So if we look into our camera view here, and now that I play it, let's go ahead and play this. Cool, that looks neat. Maybe this last one here isn't as extreme, so let me bring it back here a little bit more. I actually kind of yeah, no, I like the extreme of that. Let me just select this here, grab all of these guys, do an easy ease on all of these, and in fact, I'm going to grab this keyframe right here. I'm just going to accentuate, was the word I was thinking of earlier. Accentuate these, maybe move this back a little bit more. Do that like that. That looks good. Here looks really nice. Let's start to play it like this. Cool. That looks great. I'm going to save this now, and then I want to go, there was one Y position that I felt like right here is a little too high. Bring that down a little bit. Don't like the Y position going too out of control because I need to keep her in view. In fact, I can drop this one down a little bit more, maybe to right there. Just down a tad. Not to go through the floor, right? Up, side, over. She is an erratic little robot. And so now now it's like the detail animations, right? So we've got the head moving and following, they've got the body going, but let's add some body rotations happening here so that she, you know, like if you think about something, if it were to fly into view, if we look at our EveBot here, right, and she flies into view, she's angled a little bit, and when she comes into view, when she's hovering, less of a rotation in the body, a little bit of a rotation, but when it's flying forward, this hoverbot, you know, the body's going to trail after it, and the arms are also going to be rotated when it's flying in and out as well. So let's mimic that animation and add some rotational points into here. So we're going to start at the beginning, and I'm going to grab the hoverbot, and we are going to keyframe the rotation. And when she flies in here, I want it to be rotated. I'm just actually going to hit this rotation here, and we're going to rotate her a little bit that way and maybe a little bit this way. Like maybe it comes in from the side this way. And maybe I have to update the motion a little bit more. I'm going to keyframe all of this rotation that I just made. Right, so it's going to kind of fly in here. Maybe it's the body started off rotated incorrectly, so maybe I'm going to jump out of the camera view here and rotate, move over here, zoom in, and start at a rotation. So let's kind of rotate like this, rotate a little bit more like that. The head might cut off a little bit here. That's okay. I'm going to keyframe those. And now let's jump back into our camera view. Rotate it here. I'm going to, I just want to look at the rotation right now. Not the, I don't want to look at the rest of it. I think that right here, the rotation obviously needs to go back because the head's starting to kind of disconnect from the body too much. So let's grab the hoverbot again and change the rotation more, maybe like this. Maybe it goes forward a little bit and not that way, but maybe a little bit more forward. And then do I want to rotate this way a little bit? Maybe, yeah. And then move forward. And this rotation is going to be a little bit less noticeable. Maybe starting to face the object. All right, keyframe, move forward here. Maybe the body goes a little bit like this. Move forward here. And we get a little bit more rotation back. Maybe more starting to face the target. Moving right here. Maybe more vertical, but facing this way. Keyframe those. Move forward. Maybe to here. And a little bit more like this. Keyframe. Move forward. Here is where my hoverbot, I'm going to keyframe these so there's no rotation right here. And then right here where my hoverbot is rolling off is where I'm going to start to rotate. More like this, more like this. Like, ooh, I'm interested. I'm going to go get it. The head's a little disconnected here. You could animate the head a little bit separately. Like maybe I'll do this so it's a little less. Animate that there. Zooming off. Okay. So let's look at these rotational keyframes. Let's grab these, hit H on the keyboard. Ooh, they're chaotic. Okay, let's watch it. It's actually not bad. Let's grab all of these and first of all, let's do that. Let's grab all of these and easy ease all of them. And then let's look at each one individually. So maybe we do a little bit more of this. Maybe a little bit more like that. Grab this one. Maybe it's like this. Maybe move it over a little bit. So when I move the keyframes over, it's going to offset them from the rest of the rotation, which actually could look pretty cool, right? Because offsetting some of the rotations might, like it looks like it's orbiting more like a natural way, right? Because your head might rotate, but your body doesn't necessarily rotate at the same time. Like you got to think of like when you're looking at something and your head's going to turn first and then your body will go after. So in fact, let me do this here. Let me kind of move this like this. Maybe it's like this. A little bit smoother. Bring this out. This one's pretty sharp of a rotation. Bring that over there. Maybe bring this one here. Drag it out. Do the same for this one. Kind of want the maybe rotation to happen a little bit faster there. So let's start watching this. Cool. Do this and smooth this section out just a little bit there. and drag this over a little bit more so it's a little bit smoother of a transition from one rotation to the next. Because right now I'm just looking at the Y rotation, so the rotating sideways, like around, like if you rotate your shoulders. Cool, that looks nice. Let's go into this one, the Z rotation, which is less of, which is fine. I'm going to just kind of adjust these here. This rotation at the end I want to happen quickly. And I also want to make sure that it does that here. Quick rotation. This one's the most extreme. Right here. Let's watch this now. Go back, play it. Cool. I'm going to save this, and then now let's add the arms. And we're almost done. So the arm rotations, let's grab this here. And the arms are going to be rotated when she flies in. When he flies in, or she, whatever. When they fly in, I'm going to rotate the arms a little bit back further. So negative 65. Let's do the same for this one here. Negative. Actually, this one about the same right there. 30. So I'm going to keyframe that. In fact, let's keyframe all the rotations here. Rotational properties is really all we're going to do. Maybe it's that right there, and then when they start to move this way, we've got a different rotation. So maybe the arm's going to go like this. Maybe it comes out a little bit, or yeah, it comes out a little bit more. Keyframe that. Let's do this on this one. So it's going to go forward and out a little bit. Wrong. Forward, 0. And rotate outward. And then we move forward here. And maybe the arms rotate out a little bit. Let's put this back at 0. I think 0 looks good. This one, let's do the other arm. I think they're are they E? Oh, that's not what yeah, they're correct. Okay. I was just checking the orientation of the arms, but they're oriented correctly. Negative 90. Let's put it back to its like base right here. And then maybe I think the 0 will work. It's just a lot of seeing like what looks best, right? So maybe forward instead. Maybe right here. Put rotating out and forward. Out a little bit, forward a little bit. Keyframe those. Move here. And we're going to go back. 0. Back here. And then grabbing the second arm. 0. -90. We're just going to start at that, and we're going to zoom. This one's going to go back a little bit further. Actually, I think I want those rotated. That's where I want these to be. So, let's keyframe that there. Keyframe this one here. And let's see where the arms, right here, is where that other one is. So let's change these values here. Maybe go forward a little bit. Interesting. Let's try that. Cool. Yeah, that looks great. I'm going to grab the arms, grab all the keyframes, and do the easy easing. And then I'm going to do the same for this arm. Did I not change any of the Z position in this arm at all? I did not. But I didn't do any of the... These are just minimal. Because if I hit H... Did I not do that at all? This one is. This one goes all over the place. I don't need this one. I think this one just looks a little bit more. Oh shoot, I deleted the wrong thing in this one. Let me just go back. So I don't have this one deleted. Did I delete all of those keyframes? Okay, let me update arm 1 now. That was dumb. Don't do what I did. There we go. That's what we want it. Move forward. Here it'll go forward. Here to this one. It's gonna go maybe a little bit back to -90. Keyframe that. Move forward here. Goes forward. Keyframe that. Now this goes forward a little bit more. This one. Back. That's good. Cool. Okay. Much better. All right. Interesting. Cool. So I maybe would fine tune that just a little bit here. Go in here, update the curves for this. But overall, this animation, it doesn't look, bad at it looks pretty good as far as like her head, like the robot's head is following the target tag. The robot starts off screen. It's going to fly into on screen. It kind of hovers here a little bit. Maybe the hovering's slightly erratic back and forth here. I don't know if I would have it so bouncy. Maybe what I would do is update that a little bit later by deleting some of these X keyframes or making them a little less prevalent. Let's do that real quick. Let's see. I want to make them less erratic side to side because at a certain part the the X position is just a little bit too up and down, especially right between here. It just goes between this one and this keyframe. It's just such a big change. So what I'll do is I'll actually bring this one up a little bit, bring this one up a little bit more, and just make this less of a steep change in the curves, right? Because my value on my graph is up and down. So I could even just bring all of these and just kind of bring them all down a little bit. Even these ones here, bring these down a little bit. This one down a little bit. This one's not going to be as big of a deal. Maybe bring this one up. So the hovering isn't so back and forth and crazy. It's crazy. Let's try this. Shorten this little guy up. Maybe bring this little guy and shorten these Bezier handles out a little bit more. So it's going to start off. Yeah, that's a little bit better because it's a tighter hover, which makes more sense, right? Because the bot wouldn't really hover side to side like that unless they were going so fast coming in that they had a hard time stopping. They would kind of overshoot a little bit and then go back. But doing it this way and tightening up that this X position so it's not, the values aren't so wide, makes this look a little bit nicer here. And less, it's like a tighter hovering zone, which I think looks better overall. So I'm going to save that, and then you guys will go to your render settings. First of all, let's hit Shift V to go to, I'm going to close this Cappucino out. Let's look at the viewport settings here. Go into Effects. Turn on transparency, HQ noises, shadows, and also SSAO, which is the screen ambient occlusion, which is going to make your render look a lot nicer, especially when you're like looking in here, which is going to be important. Then we're going to go to our render settings, and we already set this up, right, to be the appropriate timing. Let's see how long my animation actually is, because I don't think that it's that long. Okay, so about to 130, so it doesn't even have to need to be 240. Let's go to our Control D to our project time. Let's change the max to 140, right? So we're only 10 frames after. I think that's a lot better. Just shorten up the timeline a little bit. All frames there, that looks good. 24 frames a second, that looks great. We're in the physical render. That's where we're going to run a render. If not, you guys can go to the viewport render, but I am going to render in the physical base render. Save is going to go to, let's go to where I have it actually saved here, which is a different folder than what I was using last class, but having updated everything or put it all in there as that, it was fine. We can do a PNG sequence. It does not have to be a TIFF sequence. We'll increase the size of it much more. You can shut off multipass. It does not have to be on, because that will take a lot longer with your rendering settings as well. Transparency, refraction, reflection, shadows, that looks great. Everything else looks really good here under physical. Yeah, that looks good. So I would just go here, naming convention. I'm just going to put it like that. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to start to render this out. And so far it looks really good. If I just hit H in this here, it will show me I'm not having any black, or you're not seeing any like blank areas off to the side, right? I did again use a plane and not a backdrop, which helps a lot with cutting that hard edge where the rounding of the backdrop is. But other than that, this is going to render out, and then I'll bring it into After Effects, And inside of After Effects, you want to make sure that you interpret your footage to 24 frames a second, so that it doesn't default at 30 frames a second. And then you guys will just render it out as an MP4. Other than that, that's all we have to do for the animation of the EveBot. I think this was a fun one to do. I think that the Cappucino, um, the Cappucino motion capture is going to help you a lot when it comes to more complex motions and animations where you can be like, okay, well, I need it to move in this position and I need it to do this, right? So this hovering, if you think about having to manually add the hovering animation, would have taken a lot longer in the beginning, versus the motion capture, which was super fast to do, right? We got the general motion down, and then we just fine-tuned it by going into the F curve and adjusting those and removing some of those excess keyframes in there, which really helps out. But if you guys don't have any questions, I am going to end the live stream a little bit early. I don't know, Jose, are you still in the chat? Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys have a little bit of extra time off. End class a little bit earlier than normal. Get out half an hour early. This is due Monday until you guys have until the 22nd of April to turn this in. What's going to start to happen though is once we start to get more and more projects in, which we're going to, they're going to start to overlap. Okay, so start making sure that you get these projects in ahead of time before the available until date. Once that locks, can't turn it in. Okay. Also, we're starting our participation questions back. So make sure you guys actually do those this week, and I'll let you guys go. I'm going to catch up on grading this weekend for you, but have a good night, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Bye. Bye, Jose.